Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, new details have come out about the murder suspect in the death of Lisbeth Medina. In San Antonio, police are still investigating the deaths of a missing pregnant teen and her boyfriend. Now the family of the boyfriend is speaking out about the murder. And top U.S. and Mexican leaders have closed their talks on the ongoing border crisis, the results of their meeting this afternoon.
In my opinion, our days have been beautiful, but we could be looking at one of the chilliest nights of the season so far. We'll talk all about it coming up in just a little bit.
Plus, residents are now speaking out about how dangerous one highway in North Texas is after a fatal vehicle collision claims the lives of 6 people. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the day off. The suspect in the death of Lisbeth Medina was living with 2 siblings and his parents in a mobile home in Schulenburg. 25 News now obtained the December 11th affidavit and complaint for a warrantless arrest in the capital murder case. Rafael Romero was on probation for a felony burglary conviction. He lived in the Schulenburg area for at least 5 years. The affidavit said numerous items belonging to Lisbeth were found in Romero's bedroom, connecting Romero to her murder. Romero remains at the Jackson County Jail in lieu of $2 million bond. More information on our website, crossroadstoday.com. A Port Lavaca man is now in the Victoria County Jail. 31-year-old Jonathan Cuellar was taken into custody Wednesday on a charge of engaging in organized criminal activity. No bond has been set. People in parts of North Texas have expressed concerns for their safety after a deadly wreck on a busy highway this week. The crash happened Tuesday afternoon near County Road 1119 and Highway 67. A pickup truck and minivan collided head-on, killing 6 people. 5 of the 6 people killed had been in the same family. 3 others were seriously hurt. Residents near the highway say that road has multiple vehicle crashes. Those who use the road daily want more to be done to prevent serious crashes. A murder mystery has taken place in San Antonio. 2 bodies found inside a parked car believed to be missing pregnant 18-year-old Savannah Soto and her boyfriend, 22-year-old Matthew Guerra. On Wednesday, police had found that each suffered a gunshot wound. Now Matthew's parents are speaking out about their son's death.
Those are Savannah's and Matthew's and baby Fabian's.
Presents under the Christmas tree, serving as a reminder of the tragic loss of a growing family.
We still can't believe we're just never going to meet him.
Matthew's father, Gabriel Guerra, says the young couple was anxiously awaiting their baby's arrival.
We had to remind him on the baby shower to let Savannah open some of the gifts.
Yeah.
Matthew was opening all the gifts, so yeah. They were definitely both happy and excited.
On Saturday afternoon, when no one had heard from Savannah or Matthew, Gabriel kicked in their apartment door in hopes of finding clues.
That's when I saw Savannah's overnight bag that she had packed for the hospital that she didn't have with her, and that even threw me more into a panic.
Gabriel knows Matthew was arrested in 2022 for domestic abuse against Savannah and even suggested Matthew stay in custody longer.
They had contacted each other on the phone, and that was a violation, so they can please keep him in there. And unfortunately, it would have to be Savannah to say that, and she wouldn't do it, so eventually he was let out.
Domestic abuse charges were never filed again. Gabriel and his wife Raquel say the couple was inseparable and seemed happy. That's why they don't believe Matthew could have hurt Savannah, but they want to find who did.
It's got to be something personal. I mean, I don't know what kind of person could do that to a pregnant, individual.
Stephanie Esquivel for Fox SA.
Savannah Soto, the 18-year-old pregnant woman reported missing by her family when she did not show up at the hospital to be induced, died from a gunshot wound to the head. KSAT reports the Bexar County Medical Examiner says Soto's death was reported as a homicide. Police found Soto dead in a car along with her boyfriend, Matthew Guerra, Tuesday afternoon outside a San Antonio apartment complex. Authorities said it appeared as if the bodies had been there for 3 or 4 days. And now let's take a first look at your First Warn Storm Team forecast. Meteorologist Howie Gordon joined us now to look what's going on outside. And Howie, It's now, the sunlight's dimming just a bit, but another sunny day out there today.
Another day in paradise, Don. I agree with you completely. Absolutely beautiful. But at night, in the morning, that heat escapes this time of year, and we see some chilly, chilly weather. So here's what we have here. We could be in the 30s overnight. Some spots way out there, away from the water. Hey, maybe dipping down to 32, 31 degrees. So we have some chilly nights ahead for Thursday and Friday night. After that, we will start to warm. The daytime, again, looking pretty good. But here's what we got. So 40s this evening. Overnight, though, hey, dropping down to 36. We stay dry the rest of the year, but then maybe showers next year. We'll talk all about it coming up, Don.
Howie, thank you. There's new concerns about the migrant surge at the U.S. southern border. The mayors of 3 U.S. cities are calling for more federal assistance after they say Governor Greg Abbott bused hundreds of asylum seekers to their cities with little notice. Meanwhile, top U.S. and Mexican leaders have closed their high-stakes border talk meeting.
The mayors of New York City, Chicago, and Denver sounding the alarm about the national immigration crisis. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston says his city is scrambling to process busloads of arriving migrants.
We're looking at about $160 million of potential costs going into next year's budget. That's almost 10% of our entire city budget.
The trio of Democrat mayors accusing Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott of cruel and inhumane politics for busing migrants across the country. New York City now working to accommodate some 200 migrants bussed in from Philadelphia after their flight from El Paso was diverted due to weather. In response, New York Mayor Eric Adams now mandating advance notice for migrant arrivals and restricting when and where they can be dropped off.
To be clear, this is not stopping people from coming, but about ensuring the safety of migrants and making sure they can arrive in a coordinated and orderly way.
Now at the border, the Biden administration says there has been a significant decrease in migrant arrivals in recent days. That reported downturn as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken with Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas met with Mexico's president and cabinet Wednesday. Mayorkas calling the meeting very productive as an administration official says Mexico revealed new plans, including cracking down on migrant smugglers. Mexico's president pressing the U.S. for more aid into Mexico and countries like Cuba and Venezuela, where many migrants are coming from. Pressure for action is growing as a caravan of thousands has been reported moving through Mexico toward the U.S. border. Meantime, a group of senators resumed talks Wednesday aimed at reaching a deal to enhance border security. That issue now linked to new defense funding for Ukraine and Israel. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Here's more details about the steps New York City's mayor is taking to reduce the number of migrants arriving in his city. The executive order signed by Eric Adams on Wednesday will require bus companies to provide details about people they are transporting. They will be required to give 32 hours notice before their arrival. The executive order will also require charter bus companies to drop off asylum seekers in Manhattan only between 8:30 a.m. until 12 p.m. Monday through Friday. Those that don't comply will face a Class B misdemeanor. The Matagorda Bay Channel expansion project continues to encounter many setbacks. Periodic errors discovered in the first environmental study have led to a major slowdown in the project, but once finished, the new and improved channel will improve capacity at the port.
Army Corps of Engineers began a supplemental environmental study to evaluate the environmental impacts of the proper arithmetic of the amount of spoil and sediment that would be removed to deepen and widen the channel.
The completion of the Corps of Engineers study was set back from the end of 2024 to mid-2025. Once approved, the deeper and wider channel will help bring a multi-billion-dollar boost to the region's economy. Diversity offices on college campuses in Texas will soon become illegal as 30 new laws are set to go into effect. You can read this Texas Tribune article on our website. crossroadstoday.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. The demolition process has begun for the rental where the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students took place. That's straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Also ahead, a man in Indiana is in recovery after surviving nearly a week of being trapped inside his truck. The story of his survival next. Crews have started to demolish the house where 4 University of Idaho students had been murdered. University President Scott Green said the off-campus rental in Moscow is a grim reminder of the heinous November 2022 attack. Alleged killer Brian Koberger has denied any wrongdoing. 2 of the victims' families have asked to pause the demolition for possible evidence. But one prosecutor said the current condition of the house is substantially different from when the murders took place. Doctors are warning asthma patients about a big change coming to inhalers. Starting January 1st, the asthma inhaler Flovent, made by GSK, will disappear from pharmacy shelves. Physicians say an authorized generic version will work just as well, but it does not appear to be covered as widely by insurers. Doctors want patients to get their new prescriptions now while they still can. Industry insiders say GSK is discontinuing Flovent due to Medicaid rebate changes that would force the company to pay large penalties for hiking prices. If being more active is a resolution for 2024, remember, that's a year-long goal. Exercising is important even when the temperature dips.
Your 2024 health goals shouldn't take a break when it's cold outside.
Aside from the physical health benefits, outdoor exercise, especially in the winter, can help with things like reducing stress, anxiety, and depression, which we often see higher levels of during the winter months.
Sports medicine Dr. Michael Tiso with Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center says exercising 12 months a year should be a part of your lifestyle, not a burden. To safely exercise in the cold, Tiso says to dress based on the temperature and your activity, but wearing layers is important.
They'd be starting with like a synthetic base layer, a middle fleece, and then an outer insulated jacket, or a combination of a puffy warmth coat and an outer shell. The shell helps protect against rain, And wind in the inner puffy part of the jacket helps keep the warmth in.
Stay away from clothes made with cotton. Tissot says that material tends to trap moisture close to the skin. If it's really cold outside, he says to keep extremities like fingers, which are more vulnerable to frostbite, covered. And before you exercise, do a short 5 to 10 minute warm up to get blood flowing to muscles.
Afterwards, after you're done exercising, a short cool down can help, and then sometimes stretching after exercise may be more effective than doing it before.
And watch out for sun exposure. You can still get sunburned in the winter, especially if it reflects off of snow. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A story of survival unfolded in Indiana. A man had been trapped inside his truck for 6 days after he crashed near a creek in South Bend. Matt Riem had somehow veered off the interstate he was traveling on and came to a violent stop in the creek, pinned and unable to reach his phone. State troopers said he survived those 6 days by drinking rainwater. Some fishermen had found the truck before sunset hit, where authorities said it would have been too dark to spot the car if they had not seen him.
Dude, that's crazy. I came down here to check for fishing, and he's down here in the car. He said his legs might be broken.
Possible broken legs?
Bro, I can't really hear you because of the traffic, but that's
No.
what he might have other injuries.
Okay. Possible broken legs.
Yeah.
And possible other injuries that we're not aware of.
Yeah, he said he can't feel his legs. They're on their way, buddy. They're on their way.
The cause of the crash is still under investigation, but authorities say Matt Riem is recovering after receiving surgery from the crash.
I always say hotter than a firecracker on the 4th of July, but we're looking at the opposite tonight. We'll talk all about it coming up soon. All right, so cool nights and mornings. Now you saw the daytime today, very nice in the 60s. Yesterday in the 70s, and then Christmas Eve in the 70s. But these nights and mornings, they're taking on a different little look. We're going to go into it. Warmer this weekend, cool down next year. Yeah, next year. That's only a few days away. Okay, here's what we got. So 62 degrees today, a little bit below average, but I thought it felt very, very nice out there. Again, yesterday, though, into the 70s. We've been as high as 83 back in 1921. All right, so what's going on here? I've explained it all week. Not really too much of a change. High pressure pulling the cool, dry, sinking air down from the north. And what's that doing? That is really helping to break down clouds. Clouds like to go up. We're seeing sinking air, so we're not seeing the cloud cover. Without that cloud cover to really hold in the warmth, we're seeing temperatures dropping down. Look, this is where we're going. Actually, in low-lying areas, the colder air will settle in those low, I can call it valleys or lower areas. So if you're in a lower-lying area, you're going to see cooler temperatures because that cold air, that dense air will continue to sink even further. So we could see some spots out here, yeah, pushing 33, 32, 31, 30 degrees. So tonight and tomorrow, Thursday night and Friday, Could be our chilliest night so far of the season. Again, with temperatures dropping down to maybe below freezing level. Now, it's not going to be, it could be for just a couple hours, so no problems as of yet. Now, maybe a few weeks from now, we can see temperatures dropping a little further for several hours, then we can worry about the faucets. For now, it's not going to be for that long period of time. Our days, though, looking pretty good into the 60s. They got a huge rebound from those chilly temps for the sun to warm us. We need some other air coming up from the south, which will happen a couple of days from now. All right, here's our dew points. So without this moisture in the air to kind of hold the temperature or slow down the cool process, we're seeing these chilly nights. So here is what we have. High pressure again, pulling that cool, dry air down into the area, allowing for sunshine. But again, the sun can only do so much this time of year. What's going to happen, though, later in the week, or by the weekend, that is, excuse me, we'll start to see that warm air pushing up out of the Gulf. That'll start to warm us, but that'll also increase our rain chances. But what's going to happen, I talked about a cool down for next year. Yeah, that cold front is going to pull through the crossroads early on Monday. That's January 1st, and we'll start to see again after a warm weekend. We'll see another cool down here in the crossroads. So yeah, that cooler is going to, so we'll warm up. It's going to be very short-lived on Sunday, because then on Monday, boom, that comes through, and that cool air displaces the warm air, and we see a cool down. Here's a marine forecast. Okay, so 61 for our water. Now, these are going to come down a little bit, but we're going to have seas 2 to 3 feet. That's going to keep our bays still on the choppy side. This time of year, though, that water is cooling down. I mean, we're in the summertime. We were seeing 95 degrees. It was like it was more than a bathtub. It was almost like a hot tub. But hey, the season's changed. Now that water is on the chilly side. All right, this evening we'll be in the 40s. That's not too bad. That's where we're supposed to be, right around 44 degrees. But here's what happens. We cool down into the mid-30s. And again, if you're further, this is the Victoria, central part of the viewing area. You get further away from the water where the temperatures are kind of regulated. You get away from the water, you might see temperatures in that 32, 31, 30-degree range. So yeah, a chilly night ahead. But again, it's only for a few hours. Temperatures will start to rebound when the sun starts to come up. But tomorrow, not too bad at all. 61 degrees, winds not too bad. With sunshine, I'll take that all winter long, every day, all day. And looking ahead, here is what we have. So far, our New Year's Eve day, that is, look at that, in the mid-70s, very similar to Christmas Eve. And then the next day, the boundary pushed through and knocked our temperatures down. Then you fast forward into the new year, then we start to get some rain chances as more of that moisture starts to push in from the Gulf. So not looking too bad other than those chilly nights and mornings. For more weather, news, and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com, and that is free on any Android and iPhone. And now we go back to Don.
Howard, thank you. And coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, pending home sales remained flat in November compared to previous months. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 81 points, the S&P 500 up 10 points, and the Nasdaq up 31 points. Oil down $2.14, closing at $71.97 a barrel. Pending home sales in November did not change compared with October. Pending sales, which tracks signed contracts on existing homes, went 5.2% lower than November of last year. New data released today shows they remain at a 20-year low. The index sank to a lower level than November of last year as well. Pending sales in the Northeast, Midwest, and West gained during November. The South is the only region in which monthly pending transactions declined. The Biden administration announced a $250 million military assistance package for Ukraine on Wednesday. The Biden administration has asked Congress for a supplemental package, including more than $60 billion in aid for Ukraine. However, it's currently being stalled, and Republican demands for border security. The U.S. has sent more than $46 billion in military aid to Ukraine since Russia invaded that country. Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, former President Barack Obama has released his favorite movies of this year. And now here's a look at what's coming on World News Tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up, the major storms on the move impacting both coasts and the holiday travel rush. The grim news from Israel on the fate of an American hostage, and news on the popular asthma inhaler and the change coming for patients next.
New Year's holiday approaches, we checked to see if any rideshare possibilities were available and found few had been available. So for your viewer poll today, we want to know, do you have a designated driver plan this holiday weekend? Yes, no, you don't drink alcohol, or you plan on staying home. We want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and I'll have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Former President Barack Obama has released his annual favorite movies list. In a social media post, Obama topped the list with 3 films produced by his own production company: Higher Ground, Rustin, Leave the World Behind, and American Symphony. His other picks included The Holdovers, Oppenheimer, and Blackberry. In his post, Obama addressed the writer and actor strike, saying they led to important changes that will transform the industry for the better. Now, how if we had a movie made about the weather in the crossroads in the final week of 2023? What would you call that movie?
What goes up must come down, because I mean, we're seeing these nice warm days, Don, but then temperatures overnight, or a couple fronts have come through, that's knocking us down. So it's been kind of, beautiful, but at the same time a little chilly at night if you don't got a fireplace and burning wood, because look what's going on tonight. Could be our chilliest night of the year.
Ooh.
Some spots out there, might see 32, 31, so we could go below freezing in some spots for a little while. Then we'll see some a warm up when the sun does come out. But looking ahead, here is what we have. So this evening will be in the 40s. That's very seasonable, but later on, overnight, late night into the morning, we'll see temperatures dropping into the mid-30s. And again, as I said, in those remote regions further from the water and in low-lying areas, hey, you might be shooting for 31 degrees. But then back up to 61 with sunshine for tomorrow. And looking ahead, other than those cool nights, the weekend looks warm, but then another front comes through, Don, knocking us back down for those ups and those downs.
Yes. Maybe put a little cover over delicate plants outside.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt.
Like
Wouldn't
that.
hurt. Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Howie, and thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is next.